and Heather could unmute yourself, we can talk a little bit about some city resources. We have been working with the city of Detroit on lead abatement programs. And so we've gone through 2 rounds now of lead abatement training for contractors. One was in Spanish, and it was only the second lead abatement training that has ever been done in Spanish. Hicimos un entrenamiento para remodelación para quitar el plomo, y solamente fue la segunda oportunidad para los hispanohablantes tomar ese curso o recibir esta certificación. We do intend to continue these as soon as it is safe to meet and to be able to do this again. So unless Anna has popped in, Roberto, would you just say a couple of words about HRD?
Yeah, so the HRD is our housing rehabilitation department for the city. It is the one department that receives the federal funding for community development block grants for home funds, which is home construction and rehab, and we also receive funding for a lot of the multi-residential units, and with that we have emergency funding that is utilized for like HVAC needs or any type of needs that a qualifier may need for repair in their homes. So we have those 3 funding pools. In addition to that, so that's close to about 35 million. The lead abatement was a $10 million grant that we have for the next 3 years, and we have to expend that money within the 3 years, and we have to expend it in the District 6. So they're in Southwest Detroit, and there's a need in that area to actually have contractors who speak the language. So that's why we've sponsored the lead abatement training program, and we're really encouraged by that, and we're in the process of identifying funding to continue that. So I know there's a great need in the community, so we want to do that. We also receive funding from the state, so we get another $5 million from the state for home construction, and so we have a lot of needs for home rehab and home construction. And one of the things that if any contractor is interested, the process is to actually apply through housing through HRD. And so Anna is the contact. Anna Binder is our contact for that. It's the application is online. They're at our HRD, but it's also available through our CREO office, our Civil Rights Inclusion Opportunity office. And what we want to do is increase the number of Latino contractors or immigrant contractors that we have in our community. And so the process is different than procurement. Procurement has a more detailed process, the city, a procurement office. Ours is more simplified because we want to get contractors out there. So work directly with Anna to get yourself eligible for a contract. And we work it on a rotation basis. So you become accepted by HRD. Then we make sure that our contractors are, as long as it's a bidding process, but it's internal. It's a bidding process within HRD. We look to make sure that it's equitable. The process is equitable.
All right, thank you so much, Roberto, for stepping in. Apparently, Anna had sent me an email saying that Ferris Curry was supposed to step in for her, but I don't see his name on this list either. So thank you for stepping in at moment's notice. I appreciate you always, supporting and being available to us. All right, so we've got a new face in our crowd here. Heather, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about bridging neighborhoods and what the work that you do along with Rico Razo.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Heather Zygmuntovich. Everybody refers to me as Heather Z, so it's no problem. And so I'm the director at Bridging Neighborhoods. We are obviously located in Southwest Detroit, and what we're working on is just providing relocation opportunities to families that are impacted in the Delray area by the bridge. So not the people who are directly displaced, but the people who were not offered a buyout by MDOT, still going to be living with the bridge into it coming online. And we know that that's definitely going to change their lifestyles. So what we do is we offer fully renovated homes elsewhere in the city. That our team actually has like a whole construction team that works on the construction side to renovate them, and work closely with our program team who works with participants in Delray. So that is the large part of our program. It came out of negotiations with the Gordie Howe Bridge Authority in 2017. And we're almost 3 years into it now. We've moved, I believe, just around 35 households. We have about 10 more to go that have already signed up, but we are starting to do model homes more often now. I don't think this is going to slow down. All of our funding, luckily, thank goodness, was all locked in prior to this pandemic. So unlike a lot of other programs, we are a little bit sheltered from that. So we are going to keep on moving. And I apologize if my dog starts barking at any time. She loves to choose exactly when I get on to start being a little bit loud. But the key thing that we're going through right now, just like every program, is always looking for more contractors. We do bid through OCP, so like Roberto was saying, we are a slightly different process. So we go ahead and we qualify everybody ahead of time. And I'm always very open that our qualifications can be a bit of a drag to go through. I believe we request 12 different things between licenses and financials. We're looking at all that because we try and do all of it up front. So there's the option for us to not ask for that much up front, but then what ends up happening is you bid, and if you win, then you're asked for 10 other things that you thought you were already through, and it really slows down the process. And generally when we're going out to bid, there's already a participant on the other side of that home ready to move in. So we've tried to be really, really clear and transparent up front about what our requirements are. And so thank you, Bridget, for adding in kind of the bridging neighborhoods, scroll down to contractors part. So we've been working to update this part of our site. I think it's much more clear now. So if you go to that part of the site, what you'll find is a copy of our RFQQ. So that's request for qualifications quote, which is how we pre-qualify our contractors. And it's literally going to show you exactly what we ask for. Step by step by step, this is what we require. You're also going to see a copy of our construction standards. So if somebody is saying, I'm not sure if this is for me, I have all of the requirements, but I don't know if this is exactly what I want to do. Like, what is it actually like to renovate a home on behalf of bridging neighborhoods? You can see what our construction standards are. They're listed there. And you can also see exactly how we go out to bid. So we also have an example RFP posted. So we try to update those as often as possible. There definitely are changes along the way. We're always looking at our standards and making sure that we're doing what's best for the participant, but also best for the program to ensure we're being cost effective. Like I said, we've done about 35 renovations to date. We definitely have more to go. It's about $20 million on renovations altogether. There are other parts of the program, but those have already been contracted out. And we've only done about 5 million of it to date. So there certainly is more money to come. And it's really a relatively steady stream of work where we're going out to bid once a month, every month, usually anywhere from 1 to 5 homes. The renovations are anywhere from $50,000 to about $100,000. It really just depends. I think
you need general contractors in all trades, right? And this is something that you guys are actively seeking new contractors.
Always, yeah. So we really target general contractors. So we are looking for people who have their builder's license associated with the company or in the owner's name. We're also looking for people who have, OSHA 10 and their EPA-led supervisor license. So we're trying to find that. You do need to be insured and bonded. That helps us with our warranty requirement. And I will say, I think that getting into our pipeline is helpful regardless, even if it's not perfect for you, because we can pull you in on other opportunities. I think that anytime we do something outside of our normal contracts for renovation, we always are looking at it and saying, like, did it make sense to use the GC for this? Because, you know, really the GC contract is everything in the kitchen sink. But we sometimes say, you know, I keep on going out to bid, or I keep on doing a change order for water service lines, or for fencing, or for, you know, whatever it is. And so there are a number of things that we've broken out of the GC contract that we generally will try and do before or alongside the GC. And I know right now, you know, some of those things, we definitely are thinking about doing a fencing contract separate from the GC, just so that it's not always this last minute thing where we're kind of up against the wall, having to pay whatever the GC wants to charge us. So we're trying to be smart about how we pull all that together.
Okay, that sounds like your cue to go ahead and pop off. So let us know, Heather, how we can continue to support you and to continue to connect you to these resources. Rico will have the list of all of the contractors tomorrow in his email box. So remind him to share that with you.
That's phenomenal. And we can follow up. If it's of interest, I would love to have our team just reach out and do calls and just say, hey, what are you guys about? What are you guys working on? And how can we connect if you're open to that?
And I have a fence guy too who's not on the list, but I can share you his contact right in Southwest.
Please do.
So no problem.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so one of the things that I do well is the referral process, right? And so that's one of the things that we're going to work together. So I noticed that Ferris from HRD did end up coming on the call. I had him in the waiting room for a little bit there. So Ferris, if you want to unmute yourself, I ended up having Roberto Torres talk a little bit about HRD, but if you want to add anything else, I know you don't know what he said, but you're welcome to just introduce yourself real quick and share if you have something specific. So sorry about that there was a crisscross in communication.
Can you hear me, first of all?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Roberto. And I'm sorry I'm joining a little bit late. So I plan to make a more timely entrance on these phone calls next time in the future, hopefully. So thank you all for having me. And good morning.
We can give you about 1 minute to share what it is. We're a little bit over time already, so.
Yeah, so thank you, everybody. So right now, what HRD is working on, construction has been temporarily on hold. So right now, our team is working on developing protocols to get back to work. So that's safe for our contractors, environmental firms, and for our staff involved. The funding is still there through HUD, through Medicaid, through 3 separate lead programs. I believe there's some extra federal dollars coming in through the CARES Act that we plan to use as well. I'm not familiar with that yet, but I'll have more information next call. And I'm hoping that once we get our protocols approved, that we will resume activities safely with PPE and plans for relocation, especially for the lead construction, making sure folks are staying in safe places while the lead construction is happening. So that's just a few quick updates.
Right.
And contractors. So anybody knows them, send them.
Yeah, so I was just saying that we are publishing our contractor list tomorrow, and so Roberto will get a copy of that he can share with your department. If anybody has any questions for any of the people, the representatives from the city of Detroit about city contracts, you can send them a private message in the chat, or you could send a public message. Other people may have the same question. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time for Q&A out loud, but if you have a very, very specific question, feel free to put it in the chat or grab one of these emails off of the slides. Again, this whole slide presentation will be published on our website tomorrow. So you'll be able to go to the mihca.org and grab it off of that so you can get everything you need. All right, thanks. I appreciate you popping in, Ferris. You're welcome to stay and see what else we've got cooked up for the next hour and 15 minutes. So, all right, we have up next, we have our Small Business Advocacy Center program manager and one of our lead consultants, Bianca Graves and AC Alrey, are available and are gonna chat a little bit. AC, we added an extra slide for you talking about your pillars, but if you want to introduce yourselves, the two of you, and then I'll switch slides so you can talk about the pillars.
Oh, okay. Hey, how's everyone doing? Good evening. I'm AC Alrey, and also with me is Bianca Graves, our construction DBE disadvantaged business consultant. I want to just pretty much go over real quick, I guess, our program, the Small Business Advocacy Center. Those of you who have been around here over the last, 10, 20 years, you may have noticed a lot of construction is going on. And in that construction, we may realize that a lot of the construction workers weren't local. They weren't Detroiters. They also were pretty much all of the same ethnic group. So a lot of African Americans and Latinx people from the communities weren't a part of these major contracts. So at the time, a program was put together called the Small Business Advocacy Center out of the Southwest Detroit Business Association. And this program is focused to help increase economic opportunities and racial equity in the construction industry through public contracting process, and by preparing, what we try to do is prepare the local contractors and residents to obtain jobs and economic benefit from the major contractors, the major construction projects. Now, in doing so, the program model is pretty much set up. Well, I can look at this. I got my own thing. I'm going to jump around, but it's set up to in three components, because we want to increase the eligibility and the participation of Detroit-based residents and DBEs in local construction. So looking at this slide she's got up here, we'll look at the first one, which is system level change. And through that, what we do is we work directly through MDOT, the U.S. Department of Transportation, and the city, the state, other state departments, what have you, to work with these organizations. Then we attend their industry-related conferences and events to find out what's going on. And as we work with our construction clients and our residents, we try to get an idea on what things are causing barriers. What's the barriers they're coming across when they're trying to get the contracts, when they're trying to do the work, when they're trying to get into the educational training programs. So we look at it, and we through our visibility and understanding, we're really trying to push for racial equity. So through our networking and our partnership, we find out and we share that information. We make it known on what barriers are out there, and we try to do what we can through our networking, our partnerships, what have you, in eliminating the barriers. Secondly, and we can have questions after. Secondly, we're looking at residents throughout our community. We want our residents to get those jobs, in the skilled trades industry. We want them to be the future. And if the residents can get jobs in this industry, which is booming, especially right now in the Detroit area, then they can go back and take care of doing the things they have to do to strengthen their community. So it's sort of like a cycle where they're going to work, they're going to be working on the jobs that we have now, and then they're going to take care of their families, and in turn, the community becomes stronger. That's what it's all about, all the way down from the beginning to the future. And looking at the residents, we're doing recruitment through various sources. We go to schools, we go to parent conferences, we go to career conferences, and we're recruiting, getting a sense on who the students are that we can talk to. A lot of times, a lot of students want to go straight off to college when they get out of high school and get a bachelor's degree in psychology or what have you. But we're trying to get to understand the importance and the need for them to be here in the community and working in the industries that are booming, and particularly the skilled trades and construction. So we're doing our outreach through those methods. We pull them in, we do an assessment, we find out what their needs are, we find out how prepared they are, and from there we try to put them in one of our tracks. And we have 4 tracks. Course number 1 is job placement. That's always the key. But outside of that, we try to look at pre-apprenticeship programs that we can tie in through our partners. We try to do apprenticeship programs as well. And then, you know, if you're at that level and we're ready to take care of business, so we're going to try to do business development and entrepreneurship to get them in a business, to get them in their own business, to get them in other people's businesses so they can take it and run with it. The third piece of our sort of our leg, our model, we deal with contractors. And in dealing with contractors, we want to make sure that we get a bigger piece of the pie, that the capacity is being built for the Detroit-based and particularly minority and women-owned businesses in construction, get a bigger piece of their pie, building on the infrastructure and other large construction projects, primarily, of course, public contracts. In doing so, you know, we do the same type of outreach. We try to find those companies through word of mouth, through, of course, now the internet, reading materials, going to conferences, meeting folks at different meetings, and finding out who they are, pull them into our program. We do an assessment. We find out where they are, what their needs are they DBEs? And that's primary for us. We want to make sure they're DBEs because a lot of the major contracts, you have to be qualified as a DBE. So we try to, if they're not a DBE, we work with them so they can get their certification, and that's disadvantaged business.
All right, thanks, AC. I appreciate it. We're running a little late, so I know, and this is a huge.
Hold on, I got to finish this up now. So we try to work with them and get them to get their DBEs to become pre-qualified, and also we have to teach them the understanding the importance of bonding, so they can be bonded. A lot of people have a hard time getting bonded. A lot of times, you know, a lot of it's based on your credit history, and so we have to work with them. And then to bring Bianca, our consultant, in, we gotta go the extra mile sometimes, and we gotta dig in and work with those businesses. And with that, I'd like to give Bianca the stage. So
yeah, I wanted Bianca to introduce herself from the very beginning. So yeah, Bianca Graves, will you introduce yourself and tell everybody what your claim to fame was? Oh, you got to unmute yourself, sister.
My claim to fame. Well, hello everyone, good evening, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us this evening. Part of what I do in assisting our contractors that are involved with the Small Business Advocacy Center is ultimately to help you to build the capacity for your business. We are very focused on our contractors becoming DBE certified. So if you're not DBE certified and you would like to become DBE certified, we will give you the technical assistance and kind of walk you through that process, really from beginning to end. And then
for
also,
people who don't know what DBE certified is, who would be a good candidate to be a DBE? What does that mean?
Well, I don't understand your question. What do you mean? Who would be a good candidate?
So who is a DBE? Like, you know, who can become a DBE? What is the definition of a disadvantaged business enterprise?
Well, the disadvantaged business enterprise, the criteria first and foremost is if you are in a particular, a socially or economically disadvantaged category, which would be your race or your gender. So anyone, essentially if you're a white male, that does not qualify. But if you are of any other ethnic race, and then females in particular as well, are able to be what they call in the socially or economically disadvantaged. That's you being socially disadvantaged. The economic disadvantage is what your personal net worth is. And I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I can't remember what.
Okay, no, that's enough. That's good. I just, people, this may be a new term for some people, so I just always like to define it. In addition to that, what specific industries is it most beneficial to get your DBE? Would, you know, for example, would a landscaper or a plumber find benefit in being DBE certified, or is it only for other specific industries?
Well, you can. They have the NAICS codes that the U.S. Census Tract has, and that determines what because you're being disadvantaged does not necessarily depend on what you are doing. Certainly in the construction industry, But if they're landscapers, if they're cement companies or which general contractors, whatever they are, they certainly can be qualified as a disadvantaged business enterprise. And is that our focus clearly is trying to get people to do work with MDOT as well. But if you're not interested in doing work with MDOT, we can still get you DBE certified through the other agencies. But if you're interested in doing work with MDOT, there's some advantages of getting DBE certified through their program. And then also some of the contractors, like some of the cement contractors that we're dealing with, if they want to get MDOT pre-qualified, that's a category that they can become MDOT pre-qualified, which is what you need to do in order to do work for MDOT.
Wonderful. All right, thank you so much, Bianca. We're running a little bit over, otherwise I'd have you talk longer because I know how hard you work with our business.
And let me just say too, if they have
Sure.
any questions, they can certainly reach out to us through the SBAC. So just give us a call.
Yep, fantastic. And I can make that referral as well. So if anybody has any additional questions for AC or Bianca, you're feel free to put it in the chat. And Maida will forward those to them if they decide to pop off. So, and again, Bianca, one other, just an additional thank you for being one of our founding advisory council members and for all of the hard work and attention that you have given to this organization. It's really, your insight and your leadership has been extraordinary, and I really want to thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, next up. So we are running only 5 minutes late. Okay, I thought we were running longer than that. So I'm doing pretty good here, not too bad. For considering this is a 2.5-hour program, running 5 minutes late is not too bad. So we have next up Patrick Beal, the CEO of the Detroit Training Center. He is going to be sharing with us their general services and talking to us, walking us through some safety issues, which is, obviously at the utmost importance right now more than ever, although in the construction industry, safety has always been a mantra. Now more than ever, we're not just battling, drywall dust and lead, but also, a potential deadly virus. And so it's really important that we protect ourselves, that we protect our colleagues, our workers, and the families and our clients that we are working in their homes and their places of business. And so with that, I'm gonna ask Patrick to go ahead and take over. Patrick, I've got all of your slides in the presentation, so I can add them as you go, and then you can just talk. So go ahead, unmute yourself and you're good to go.
For sure. Well, hello everybody. Definitely good to see everyone, see several people I know for sure. The Detroit Training Center was founded in 2012 to do vocational ed. So we focus on construction training of a bunch of different types, but especially asbestos abatement, lead abatement, OSHA training, and have some programs in kind of several different categories. But if you want to hop to the next one there. Yeah. Well, I guess I went through that as well. So
okay.
Go to the, cool. So we do heavy equipment, CDL, blight removal, residential renovation, masonry restoration, and welding programs, meaning that pretty much at all times we have graduates coming out looking for employment. So any contractors ever looking to hire, definitely send us your job openings. We're going to have Detroit residents who are recently trained. Obviously, they're going to be new to the industry, but definitely looking for a job. So
that's fantastic.
Next one. So the heavy equipment program includes most of the big normal types used, especially on residential or blight removal projects, but certainly includes everything from the forklift to the skid steer to the excavator and OSHA safety as well. So students coming out of there.
Are you pausing this particular class right now? Because this obviously has to be done in person. You can't really learn to drive a truck virtually. So are you halting these for the next couple of weeks still?
So these in person will be down, but the students in this program are taking OSHA 30 online right now. So if anybody wants to get employees trained while they're just hanging out otherwise, we've definitely got some classes coming up, including getting your tip. So if anybody was trying to get their CDL, we're going to have other ones coming. But yeah, definitely this one's mostly down. but doing online training.
That's a good way to do it. So use this time to do their OSHA training. So, okay,
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. This is just a good example of one of our classes, helping to build a rain garden with the city of Detroit and DGC. The truck driving program could even be good for business owners, depending on what type of vehicles and other equipment you're hauling. Certainly, the state has really stepped up on anyone taking a trailer or moving a backhoe. So if this is something that's interesting, we're going to have night programs as well. Or if you're looking to hire new drivers, we have some that are cross-trained with this and the heavy equipment program, especially a lot of veterans that have been doing that. So we've got 2 or 3 veterans coming out with both of those credentials.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, they're looking for a great job. So
good deal. Yeah, I know we've got a couple of our businesses that are looking to hire, so we'll definitely have to connect on that and figure out a good way to make sure that those connections are made. So
for sure.
All right, this is just another example of your heavy equipment and CDL, right? And then I like this one.
This is actually this is our hazmat program. So we do have a coronavirus response training program that we've been putting on for janitorial and facility maintenance companies. It's based around the HAZWOPER 40 with first aid, CPR, and other classes attached that are focused directly on this virus. So people are sending individuals directly into contaminated sites. We're not using the Class A suit for this particular contaminant, but all of the concepts are exactly the same. We've got a decon, properly PPE, and then go out and do the job. So this shows deconning. This would be appropriate if we were in a chemical spill or some other types of scenarios with even more hazardous substances than we're facing now, but definitely a part of the HAZWOPER course.
Great.
And then welders. So we do a lot of welding training now, right down there in Southwest on Verner, as well as at Breithoff in Detroit Public Schools. So certainly if you're looking for welders or are interested in learning welding, let us know.
And real quick, do you have to be a Detroit resident to sign up for your classes?
No, we are a proprietary school, and we qualify through Michigan Works funding. So pretty much anyone who is unemployed or qualifies through different methods is likely to qualify for workforce development training once every 3 years. They can go out and get approximately $5,000 worth of education related to one of these fields. And so that's definitely an option for people inside the city and outside the city of Detroit. We as DTC have specific contracts with the city of Detroit to fund Detroiters, but people from all over Michigan come out for the classes.
And are some of your programs available to people who don't have a social security number who might just be working with an I-team? You know? So
the funding frequently is related to the unemployment system. Depending on what's happening. So the general answer.
What if they just wanted to pay for it themselves? If they wanted to come in and get a certification, or maybe they're already working as a contractor and would like to have, some certifications under their belt, like especially the OSHA training.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. We're completely open to that. In fact, we're a participant in the Detroit ID program and have a 10% discount for those presenting a Detroit ID.
Fantastic. So, that's really good to know, Patrick. We'll be sending lots of people your way.
Definitely. And then these other classes are just more typical of what we're running every day: OSHA, forklift, lead and asbestos. If anybody's looking to get the real estate salesperson, or the one that probably is most applicable for people here, the Michigan residential builder's license, we're running those now.
All right. And I grabbed your Zoom discount code and I threw it in your last slide, so that'll be in your slide.
Cool.
I grabbed that already. So,
so all of these classes are running online, and then we run several quasi-online for essential workers. So those people who are working actively and qualified under the previous regulations, we're certainly training. Now that people are commercially at work, we're definitely doing this training in person if needed for particular employers. So That builder's license is going to be all online for a while. It's a 60-hour class and definitely could help out a lot of businesses in this time frame. So it just started 2 days ago, and they're accepting people for the next 3 days. So,
Oh, okay.
if some people are interested in, they can definitely still get in. And then the good part is we're doing it on Zoom, so we got recordings, and we can just send you the day you missed if we needed
That's
to.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we'll definitely be sending some people your way for that specific program. So I'll have Maida make some phone calls on Monday to add to your roster. All right, and so then contractor support and development program. This sounds interesting. This is almost like for business owners.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about before, and certainly we've been talking all as a group to how we can better support business owners. We certainly have some online classes coming up, focusing on particular topics. The first one's going to just be straight on writing a business plan. Other ones are going to focus on particular areas that are in need, and we're part of a big survey response we got. So opportunities in contracting, and definitely some of the speakers we had earlier talking about those programs. We'll definitely try and talk to some of them, but also other contractors involved. And we're hoping to drive in-network sales. So as you know about projects and as you're looking for subcontractors, let us know, and definitely get with Bridget, and we're going to try and connect everybody as best we can.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. This is really exciting.
For sure.
You have a couple of partners, huh?
Yeah, we'd love to add you to the list. So we got some great partners.
Sure. I will send you our logo.
Yeah, we'd love to have you guys and everybody else. And yeah, we wouldn't be here without all of our partners. We've been really fortunate to be supported through a number of entities, and we talked recently about the PPP loan and Huntington Bank and how fantastic that process has been. But also Fisher Foundation and several other organizations that have really been able to help us out. So we always like to shout them out and give the bigger appreciation. And then I had definitely thanks. So we have the discount code for the builder's license class. If anybody's interested in getting in this or the next builder's class, one started just a couple days ago, but definitely feel free to still get in. We've got the HCA Zoom as the discount code and get $100 off there. So that's something that's interesting to you, or you know anyone else who's in need of that builder's license, after the discounts, $550 with us. And certainly could be something good to knock out while there's less work going on or less projects to do. So let us know.
Thank you, Patrick. This is really great. I'm gonna. This is very generous of you. Just so everyone knows, I literally asked Patrick about this like 2 hours ago, thinking that this would be something we could do for our next meeting. And he was able to go, well, what are you thinking about something like this? And I was like, that is exactly what I was hoping for. So yeah, so thank you for creating that code. So you can go to their website, you can go call them, or you can send an email to Patrick or to me even, and we can make that referral that way. And all you have to do is mention that you were on this call, or use the discount code HCA Zoom and receive $100 off your builder's license class, if that is something that you are hoping to do. So this is a win-win-win for everybody involved. As you guys all heard, the city of Detroit is looking for people with builder's license, and now we've given you the problem and the opportunity and the solution all within like a 20-minute window. So it's kind of what we're set up to do. So Patrick, I'm going to actually unshare my screen so that you can go big. And I'm going to encourage everyone to switch your view to speaker view. So instead of, if you've got, lots and lots of little windows, if you can, at the top of your screen, click on the speaker view, and that'll give you a big picture of just Patrick's face. And he'll be able to share some other things with you in terms of safety. So,
for sure. Well, as a asbestos abatement trainer, certainly we have been educated frequently about respiratory safety, and so just had a couple tips to put out about that as it's become incredibly more important. So first off, just a couple things that we've been doing. Certainly the first thing several business owners have been doing is setting up kind of an initial line of defense. The problem with taking temperatures is you then don't get to go, okay, we're good. It's one method that can be used as a method to say, okay, well, if we have a temperature, we're going to go home. But that doesn't mean that no temperature means that we're safe. And so anyway, that's very important as you're looking through it. But definitely one thing that business owners might want to check out for their staff. Doesn't require touching or anything. It's an inch or two away, takes the temperature. Certainly has been a standard practice in China and Italy for quite some time. So
I have a question about that. My husband works for an automotive supplier, and he works on building the assembly lines, and so he has a heat sensor camera.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so that's like something, it's a tool he uses all the time. So his, the HR department actually called him and said, hey, I knew that you had this like really cool tool. It attaches to his cell phone and he can tell the temperature. He said it's within like 1.5 degrees and you can take it up to 10 feet away.
Yeah.
And so the automotive companies are going to be trying to use that instead of a thermometer.
Mm-hmm.
They're, maybe a little bit more expensive. I think the camera's like $200. So he actually ordered 5 of them for their different facilities here in Metro Detroit.
Sure.
And I thought that was interesting. That was the first I had heard of that instead of a thermometer. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the Chinese police are wearing helmets for sure with that exact technology on it. So absolutely. I think it makes a lot of sense. But the problem with this, you got to get close to somebody. So
right. Well, that's why they said they liked that one because it was you could be from 10 feet apart and it's still within 1 to 2 degrees.
Yep.
So I mean, it won't tell you if you have a temperature of a 99, but at least it would tell you if you had a 101.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely something that could be helpful, especially as you're entering people into a facility or as you're checking people in and could make sense. Next up, I was just going to talk about a couple of the respirator types. So starting at the very lowest end, we've got what we'd call the cloth respirator or the vanity respirator. Technically, this does meet the state standard in terms of having a cloth covering for your face. It does not meet any kind of construction industry standard or anything like that. But if you were not wearing a respirator before, technically anything that covers the face and mouth and fully covers the whole nose, face, and mouth is then going to be an acceptable face covering for being in, let's say, a grocery store or a pharmacy or something like that. So it doesn't have to be a rated product. It can be a cloth respirator. Many, many different people are making these all over Detroit. Different companies are doing different things. This one I ordered from China early on in the process. It's important to note that there are different features, though, that might make them completely useless. So, for instance, I got a few different types to show people, and this is one of them. And it's the same concept, but it's got a valve on it, which basically means that while it might protect you, it now takes away everything that would protect the other people. And so it now is pretty much useless to protect other people. So a full face covering is really designed more to protect other people than yourself, but it is very important in terms of keeping a workplace safe for everybody who works there. So definitely something that might make sense for you. Better step up, but less reusable is going to be a regular surgical mask. The regular surgical mask is absolutely an acceptable thing for everyone who was not wearing a respirator before. So this might be the best option for your employees. If you have a lot of employees, you can buy them in bulk, 30 cents to $1 a piece, depending on the quantity you buy. The only big recommendations with these is there is a top and there is a front. The outside is almost always going to be the colored side, okay? And the top is always going to have some sort of thing that holds its shape. So this could be a piece of wire in there or something else, okay? Now, I have already counted 4 governors wearing their N95s upside down. So,
oh no,
first person,
that's funny.
you wouldn't be the first person to put it on upside down. So definitely feel for the part that has, this one's just doesn't do anything. This part has a wire in it, okay? And if I'm wearing this, I can wear it around my ears. But you can also make a saw out of string. And so after enough time, that's going to really cut in my ears. So some sort of method that ties it back to itself or something else is going to be much preferred. So there are many different types of savers. People have been using paper clips, anything at all can help just kind of hold it off of your ears. You don't want it on your ears all day. This is going to be perfectly fine. If you weren't wearing a respirator before, it's going to be easier to breathe in than going to a higher level of respirator. Okay, but this is not going to meet any kind of construction standard. If we're putting it on, we just want to make sure when we're taking it off, we're assuming everything on the outside of here is dirty. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use some hand sanitizer or wash our hands. Then we'll take it off, keeping the outside out. And in most cases, this is then going to be discarded. It could be reused again after force in theory with this current, what we know about this virus. So you could put it aside. It's going to smell bad with your breath, though. So it's definitely a negative.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention that both Patrick and myself have been working on sourcing large quantities of these types of masks to be able to get to people. And so we are going to be sending out an announcement, and actually I'm going to share a little bit in a minute, but about some KN95. And so I want Patrick to talk to you a little bit about the difference between the standard N95 mask, which is the US standard, and then the KN95, which is the Chinese version of that.
For sure. So anyone doing construction's obviously dealt with an N95 before. Certainly very important if you're doing any kind of house remodeling or any work involving any amount of dust. Very, very helpful, just protecting you on a daily basis. If you needed to wear N95 before and you cannot find the N95 now, the best replacement is certainly the KN95 as far as we can see. It has not yet been rated by the rating agencies here in the United States, which is called NIOSH. And so anything that we would ever recommend as an asbestos abatement trainer always would have a NIOSH rating. So the KN95s have not been rated yet, but definitely appear to be the best substitute in replacement for these if you cannot find them. If you are able to find an N95, which, as I mentioned, several government officials and certainly hospitals are using, it's just important that it be worn correctly in order to get the best use. So the important
part. It looks like
part,
there's writing on it. Isn't that like the most obvious thing, that the writing won't be upside down if you put it on your face?
You would think so, but I would say the nose piece makes it the most obvious.
So you really want it on your chin.
Yeah, almost every N95 respirator is going to have a nose piece. So you just find the nose piece, and when we're starting, we start with it below our chin because we want to keep the outside, especially if it's already been worn. And we can put it up on over. Then we take that up on and go up the top. And we want the split to be large. The bigger the split between the bands, the more comfortable it's going to be. Then we're going to take that and mold it to our nose in a comfortable way. And you have to be clean shaven in order for this respirator to work in its rated fashion. So that's a very important key factor.
Jason Cole and AC are out of the question then. They're not going to be able to wear these masks. They might as well just wear the blue mask, right?
If you want to wear your beard in 2020, it's going to cost you $1,000. So we'll talk about that. So this is the N95. It is fairly comfortable. Do not wash it with any sort of chemicals or products. I've seen many doctors and other people with these very bad marks on their face. And every construction worker knows we've worn these for 12-hour days, sweating. We've never gotten those marks on our face. I'm pretty sure what they did is they washed their mask with some sort of chemical. And then that chemical residue was left on their mask, and then they put it on their face, and the chemical held on their face. Because we've all worn these for many, many hours. None of us have ever gotten those type of rashes or other things that they're having. I mean, we've broken out. It causes acne, definitely. But that sort of very large rash or redness that I've seen on the news, I think that's related to trying to clean the mask because they don't have enough of them. So
Patrick,
definitely that regular N95.
thank you for your comments, Patrick. I'm going to talk to you later about that.
For sure. For sure. And then it's important, there are other types of N95s that don't do the same thing. So this N95 is better for the wearer and worse for everyone else. Because if it has a valve, it is not filtering your exhale air. Now, it is going to be nicer to wear because you will not be breathing back in your own breath. But it is important to remember that this mask will only protect yourself and not other people, whereas this mask will protect you and other people to a high degree, to a 99% degree, whereas this mask we're considering more to the 95% degree in the CDC recommendations. So definitely the regular N95 without any valve is the safest for both. But again, it depends on who you're trying to protect and what you're trying to do. So for the N95s, the KN95s, if that's going to be all that's available, it is a flimsier mask. You can tell it weighs less, but it absolutely still is a full filtering. It fits the face correctly. It does appear to do the full job. It appears to work in the same fashion. It just has not yet been rated by America's rating agencies. So next thing I want to talk about was just safety glasses. So the virus is transmittable through the eyes. So certainly safety glasses are a good idea in any construction project ever, but it's not a bad idea to have as part of your safety strategy here to have safety glasses. You could even jump up to like a safety goggle or something like that, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing any cleaning, I highly recommend the safety goggle. People are upping their percentages and they're using more bleach and they're using more alcohol and they're using more other things that are going to be caustic to the eyes. And so not only are we worried about the virus, we're also worried about what we're using to clean from the virus. So definitely check out some safety glasses. I would recommend them, even if you're just going out to the store and you are covering your mouth, I would recommend covering your eyes as well. But it depends on you and what you're up to. If you were wearing safety glasses before, obviously, you certainly need to wear them now, and it might make sense to do other options. For frontline people, so like my receptionist, we're going to have something like a face shield. So whoever's doing the front door, and certainly anyone operating one of these temperature gauges, they'll be wearing the full face shield. So that way they're protected from kind of everything. And then face shields are not a substitute for safety glasses. They're in addition to, so you can also wear them underneath. So that'll probably be.
We've been having this conversation internally about our restaurants, and obviously that's a totally another conversation. But that was one of the things that we had talked about is, are these face shields, those can be re-washed and re-worn almost indefinitely, right? Unless they're damaged.
Well, yeah, but anybody in construction has seen a face shield more like this, and definitely these are designed to be worn for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. The medical ones are really designed to be thrown away because they were designed for the medical environment. So the doctors were probably throwing them away. Not to say that you can't wear them many times. Okay. So this is more like a $2 version, whereas that's more like a $19 version. Depending on what's going on. But this one is going to be more comfortable and lighter and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So if you're not doing construction work, it probably is more appropriate. You can wash it. So yeah, definitely we're hoping to do something there. Cool. And then if you need to do higher level respirators, there's certainly the half face these are going to be very hard to find, but if you're doing any sort of lead or asbestos work, it's very important that you have this style of respirator with the HEPA cartridge. Now, the HEPA cartridge in this style respirator has been perfect for hospitals, and we donated a very significant amount to Henry Ford ourselves. And so I certainly think they'll be hard to purchase in the future. But if you're doing that type of work, certainly nothing has changed about the laws, and every expectation is that you'll protect your employees in the same way. So definitely, if that's something that's important for you, let us know. It's one of the things we're hoping to help source additionally. Certainly the original supply pretty much was all wiped out and sent to hospitals, but construction workers need them absolutely. So we're going to work to figure out how we can get some more of these as well. They don't protect the eyes, so if you're doing something like spraying for coronavirus, then you're going to need to step up to at least something like this, which is going to be your full face respirator. And so if you're doing any kind of atomizing agents or any kind of foggers or anything that sprays any kind of disinfectant, you absolutely are going to minimum need one of these. And so you can actually still buy these online, which is surprising because I figured they would have all gone out and been more used in the hospital system. But I think that hospital systems consider them to be scary to patients. And so they've not been having their doctors wear them, even though it might make sense. So definitely a full face respirator is the only thing that's going to be appropriate if you're intentionally releasing some sort of disinfectant into the air in any industrial quantity. So we had our facility sprayed with a ammonium chloride solution, and certainly he was wearing this while doing that, and could actually wear all the way up to the papper. So that definitely covers everything that was important. Just for Jason, because we were joking about the beard, the papper is the next higher level of respirator, and the only type you can wear with a beard. They're more like $1,200 and generally not used on most construction projects and used pretty frequently in hospitals. But certainly if you've got to wear a respirator and have to wear a beard, especially for those making religious accommodations, it's certainly been done before. And some major corporations have made it an accommodation for their employees who request it as well. So that respirator can be a loose fit and certainly be worn in pretty much all occasions. Every other type of respirator, including the N95, if worn in a medical environment, needs to be fit tested. So any sort of half face or full face respirator needs to be fit tested by a qualified person. We do that at DTC. It does not need to be an outside person. It could be a qualified person internal to your company. You could become qualified by learning about it. But certainly fit testing is very important. And then if you're in a medical environment, you do have to fit test for the N95 as well. So this doctor's offices, orthopedic clinics, anything like that, we've been doing a lot of fit testing for the N95s as well. It's not needed for construction, but it is required for the medical industry. And I wouldn't say it's required or necessary for restaurants or other things if worn properly, but you do have to wear it properly. So. And I think that's all I had on those things. If anybody had any questions?
Yeah, thank you so much, Patrick. So there are a few questions if you want to go into the chat. There were a couple of small ones. There's one specifically from Barbara Luna. Her husband just finished his builder's license class, and their test day was canceled, and she wants to know if there's anywhere else that he can take the test.
Unfortunately, with PSI, they are state-funded, completely approved everything. So they are going to be following the state rules regarding that for the testing. But we anticipate as soon as the state is open back up in terms of not the stay-at-home order, that the new dates will be published. A lot of people like us with schools, if you're people that put up events all the time, you just got discouraged the last 3 times, and you might have even put up some events the last times that looked like it was going to open, and so a lot of businesses haven't been putting up those new times until it seems more clear that this is going to be we're going to be open. So
yeah, we're in the same boat with our lead abatement. We got our last class in under the hair of our chinny chin chin. Was doing, socially distanced class. Our last session was, I had everybody 6 feet apart and had the hand sanitizer and the whole deal. But they have not been able to test yet. So we're in that same boat with our guys as well. So Patrick, I'm super excited to continue this partnership. Patrick and I are working on creating another workshop for everybody next month. We are open to suggestions. So if anybody has a topic that they'd like us to cover, it'll be probably just an hour-and-a-half workshop with one topic. Maybe have multiple speakers though. So if you have any suggestions about what you'd like that to look like, just send us a message, and we'll follow up with you in the next week or two to let you know the date and time. And it will actually be this same Zoom link. So we're going to use this same Zoom link going forward for anything that's HCA related for our virtual workshops and that. So thank you again, Patrick, and be kind of attentive to the chat and see if there's anybody has any additional questions for you. All right, thank you so much. All right, so I wanted to make an announcement. This is another membership benefit. I purchased 200 KN95 masks. Actually, I take it back. I purchased 400 KN95 masks, and I'm still waiting on 200 of them, but 200 of them I was able to pick up and drop them off at ESI Hardware this week. ESI Hardware is one of our members. It's a little teeny hardware shop on Lawndale. And if you are currently a member of the Michigan Hispanic Contractors Association, and you will be on the list for membership, and you can go and pick up your 2 free KN95 masks. They are waiting for you. This is something that was just a gift from me to you, just because I want my guys to stay safe. And so this was one way that I was going to be able to do that. I only had 200, and we have 115 members. I'm counting on the fact that most of our corporate members probably won't go pick them up. And so that we'll have some for our small guys. But I do have another 200 coming. They were promised that they should show up next week. They're already 2 weeks late, so we'll see if that actually happens. Those masks we are going to be selling at cost, basically. We still are unclear on the shipping costs, and so there's going to be a range. They're going to be for sale for $4 to $5 per mask, which is still cheaper than you can get them just about everywhere else. And then we're also going to drop off a batch of the blue disposable masks. And this will also be a way for ESI to get our members in the door. She's able to order things for you as well. So it's a win-win for our employees, or rather our members on both sides. So go and visit our little teeny local hardware stores, and go ahead and pick up your 2 masks today. Browse her storefront, and if you have any requests, she can order them for you. The other masks will be in next week, and I'll send an email as soon as they arrive. So, and I know Patrick's looking to kind of do a PPE one-stop shop, and so as soon as he gets that, Patrick, I don't know if you saw in the chat that there's a number of our current members that have access to PPE. It might be worth looking at their suppliers and see if they can't work with you. A couple of our members, I know Brand U World and Corporate Specialties can do branded masks, the cloth masks, with your logo on them. And they're the kind that you can put a filter in, so they're like the 3-layered. So that is something else I've thought about purchasing, for our members, and to be able to get a, the Michigan Hispanic, a good way for us to advertise, right? So I don't know if that's going to be valuable, but I am very interested to know what people need. So if you have a need, we are seeking some additional funding to help with some of the PPE. We're going to fill out this list grant, and there's a couple of other opportunities through the city of Detroit and through some other channels to get some PPE. So if you need PPE, go ahead and put it in the chat, and I'll have Maida take that down. I'm going to be sending out a survey tomorrow asking what people need, so we can see if we can't put in a bulk order with one of our resources. It may be that we give it to you at cost, but if we can buy, 1,000 pieces or 5,000 pieces, it's going to be a lot cheaper than you picking up the 10 or 12 or 25 that you need. So just let us know, and we'll do our best to either offset the cost or at least get it to you at, as wholesale price as possible. Right.
Yeah, and then for anyone, posting about access and different materials available, definitely just shoot to me, patrick@detroittraining.com. A lot of the reason we're looking for this is we're going to have, we've got 100 students a day that we want to keep protected. So definitely we're looking for the best way to do that. And we've got supply for a month, but we certainly don't have supply for a year. So
right. Patrick, can you, I don't know if I'm not paying attention to the chat, but if you haven't already, will you put your contact information right in the chat for everybody?
Yeah, I'll put it right there.
Awesome. All right, cool. So here's ESI. She's on Lawndale. She is Googleable. She has a website, and she has a Facebook. It's real easy to find her. You can always call me or Maida too, and let us know. But she's over by Mangonadas in Guadalajara, over on Lawndale, and so between 75 and Verner.
Bridget.
Right. So we are 15 minutes over.